me, being an African boy growing up in Uganda, um, when we went to the villages, you know, hey, I was on the hunt for the most delicious fruit I could find, you know. So I was all up on those mango trees, I was up in the gardens, looking for those passion fruits. So when if someone knows fruits, I felt like I really know fruits, and I just didn't find anything on the market out there that could trigger those senses in me, from that childhood. So from the creation of Makassi, I just wanted to create something, as a team, we wanted to create something that would bring back those memories for me. Like when you open that can, the smell, right? When you taste it, that taste, should taste like, just like to a juicy mango fruit or, any, pineapple, like it should just taste like that. So to accomplish that, we had to make sure we make it 100% just like not add anything to it, do not move anything to it, just make it wholesome, and obviously we can talk about health benefits that come with that, but just so you understand that where the idea came from, that's where it's coming from. Just to and if you taste our product, you agree with me that if you ever experience, if you had a similar experience growing up, you really agree with me that hey, this will trigger your senses. The kind of person that when I put my mind on something, I want to see it through. My dad always tells a story that when I was in nursery school and we're doing a math problem, that and if I got it wrong, I would not leave that desk. I would just sit there and redo it and redo it and redo it until I got it right. Um, and then, then I would be able to say, hey, all right, I'm done, and then take it to the teacher. The teacher said, all right, this is right. Yeah. And then I was going to break, Mm-hmm. Or if the break was over, that was it. Just sit back down and, continue. So I suppose, sometimes you listen to these I don't want to call them childish stories, but the stories from when you were a child. And then you see the same characteristics when you're older, Yeah. So it's like when you're 5 years old and you're 35 years old, not much changes except that you grow more into what you were before, right? Yeah. So I see some of the similar traits. I see the same thing in my dad. Just this grit. That's him. That kind of rubbed off of me. So, I mean, that's the kind of person I am. When I determine to do something, I like to see it through. So that's me in a nutshell. I came to the U.S. I was about 13 years old.
13.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I started, I went to high school. So I started here in high school. So the 9th grade, and then to the 12th grade.
To the 12th.
Depends what we're really talking about. We talk about school. I found school was very easy because the way we did school here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
versus the way we did school in Uganda is like totally different things. Because I remember, in Uganda, you're young, 12 years old. You had to, because I went to boarding school, so you had to wake up early in the morning, like 5. You go to your morning prayer, and then from there you go get ready for school, and then you have a couple breaks in between. You go to school till 3, and then you go back to school. Like around 7 to 10 p.m. and then you do it over again. So it was like this consistent thing that was just drilled in you to study and study and study all day for like a straight semester for 3 months. Right? So coming here from that background, I found school was like really a piece of cake because like a lot of times they give us the answers. Like sometimes we were doing projects and we just had the book, to reference. And when it came to like math, like most of the problems I'd already done, back in Uganda. And then the other stuff was just easy, just studying. I already had those study habits, so school was easy. The culture, just assimilating into a new culture, is where the challenge is. And I wouldn't say it's something that happens right away. It's something that takes time. Like the more you know, you kind of are inserted in that culture, and when you kind of start understanding it, and seeing what you know, they just different things that we do back home that may mean something else. I mean, for instance, when someone waves at you like this, in our culture, could mean like, "Hey, come here," Whereas here it may mean, "Hey, bye, see you later." So it's just subtle things like that. It might simply simple. Someone smiles at you back home may mean something different than over here. So things are just unique and different. You just have to learn those little cues. So, but that took time. Time. I still learn.
You're still learning.
You still learn.
How many years
20
later?
years later, I'm still. I'm sure. And the Ugandan in me, one thing that I learned, because I think my initial mistake as a teen in this country was that I needed to be American and shed off uh, my Ugandanness, right?
Yeah.
That's that's a mistake,
Okay.
that I later learned that I need to embrace who I am, right? My uniqueness in this country, to be able to bring that uniqueness in America, right?
Okay.
So that is the difference. I think a lot of us immigrants make that same mistake that, forget by being, try to be American now, try to be Ugandan in America, and you embrace that uniqueness, and you do much more than if you were trying to be something you're not, right? Yeah. Okay. So the food was always a huge issue. Okay. Now, when we were living in Uganda, my parents were very concerned about the food. Say, "You guys, you don't have good food over there. You need to like pack up some of this food." So they put food in the bags. They put some pineapples in. Traveling the news. So we get to, what's it, customs or immigration, whatever, at the airport. So you have to check in. So they had to check your bags. So you get there, and they check out, it goes through the scanner. And like, man, what do you guys have in here? So they take out bags, they start checking them. So they'll be taking out all these fruits, pineapples, whatever, mangoes. They were just taking everything out, all the food that we had in there. Yeah, wait, you guys can't bring this.
That's what they told you?
Yeah, so man, we lost all our food at the airport. I'm like, so you kind of think, I'm like, man, that pineapple over the 24 hours of travel, it really ripens really nice. smells good. I'm like, wow, that was a good pineapple. But anyway, we lost all our food. So come to the U.S. Honestly, I thought like it would be like a big problem. Um, you know, we did not have like a huge problem. Like I remember eating my first burger at McDonald's.
and like, oh, okay, well, this is not too bad, you know. So I ate that. I'm like, well, I'm not a picky eater though. But so the problem is for me wasn't like, you know, whether or not I'll be able to eat the food. It was just the cravings of home food, you know. So when those cravings, you know, hit, I just have to have Ugandan food, you
Yeah.
know. So the beauty of it is it's like over time I realized that you can actually get some Ugandan food somewhere, you know, either
Mm-hmm.
from a friend
Yeah.
or you try to make it. You know, over the years, I really watched my sisters, my mom, you know, cook. You know, because in Uganda, you know, we don't really run the kitchen as boys.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, over watching over long periods of time, I just knew how to make some stuff. You know, so you know, when the craving was too much, and I wasn't, I'm not close to anybody that can, you know, where I can buy or whatever, so I have to make it myself. So,
Mm.
and then you get over that craving, and then you're like, okay, and then it comes again, and like, man, you just have to have it. So that up to now, I've been in the U.S. a long time.
Yeah.
That I have not, you know, overcome that part of it. I
Mm-hmm.
just need to have my Ugandan food. So okay, so as far as English, the good news is for Uganda. Uganda has English as an official language.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the big. That's like a huge piece of the puzzle.
Mm.
Um, but you know, when we came here, me and my sisters, we went into the ESL program, English as a Second Language program,
Mm.
and we spent a whole 3 weeks there, and we got kicked out because you know the
The-
teacher was like, "Man, you guys knew not too much English." But the issue was we did not really speak. I mean, we knew the English. That wasn't a problem.
the, the British
I
English.
could, yeah, the British English. I mean, that was easy. I could write, you know, 10 pages of paper in a story, you know, in English, right? And that's what got us kicked out of the ESL program was because we knew how to write, we knew how to read it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so it was just that maybe a slight difference in accent
Mm-hmm.
that you know maybe some people could not understand what you're saying, this and that. Um, that you know just needed a bit tweaked a little bit, but other than that, it wasn't like. I mean, I'm not going to say it wasn't a big deal, but because it was, but we were in a better position than the people that came here from non-English speaking countries.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
So we had an edge over several people that it was easier for us to just, you know, keep learning, keep maybe practicing, and you know, they're just words that you just have to work on. Yeah, you know,
I get
they're
you.
just things that you know, tongue twisters that you have to, you know, take time to kind of help other people understand what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Um,
They go, what did you say?
what did you
Pardon?
say? You know, there's things like the things that we say back home. Let me think of a word. You know, you might say, you know, just as I said, word.
Mm.
You know, at home you could say what. You
Mm.
know, what could mean, and could mean. Oh, let me say walk. Right?
Walk. Yeah.
Walk. So you could say walk or
Mm.
work or you know. I don't know. So you know, so you may find people's well, you know, walk and work and you know may sound very similar, but you know the way you twist your tongue may mean something different, right?
Yeah.
Whereas for us, it's more of context.
Mm.
You know, we speak in context.
Yeah.
So someone has to understand, like, well, I went to work. I went to work.
Yeah.
Right? For instance, I went to work. I'm not gonna ask you, like, what do you mean you went to?
Yeah.
Like it just context. Whereas U.S. is kind of the word that makes it or breaks it. So
So
what
sometimes
do you
I
mean? What you went to work? What?
what do you mean?
What do
Yeah.
you mean?
Sometimes
So
I find myself like spelling it out.
yeah, it's like yeah, exactly. You spell it out so they understand. It's like, oh, work. Like yeah. Even now, I think I still have those tongue twisters where I my wife or my kids correct me like, no, that's not how you say it. It's like, what are you talking? So there's still words that you still work on,
Mm.
but the goal is you're not really trying to change who you are or how you speak, because if you recognize, even if I may speak like this right now, if I'm talking like that, my accent is heavier. I speak like proper. Well, I wouldn't say proper, but because it's now a hybrid accent between Ugandan and American. But I try to speak more with an accent than if I'm speaking. Yeah,
I get what you're
yeah.
saying.
So,
Yeah.
so
So you twist your tongue.
you twist it. Why? Because hey, I'm talking to my dad. I'm trying to speak the way I would think he would understand it. And if I'm talking to you, I'm talking to regular American. I'm going to speak in a way that I think they would try to understand me, right? So it's just learning how to try to speak in a way that you help the other person understand. It's just a communication thing, and sometimes it's hard to do, right?
And it's
It's sometimes hard to do, especially now. If that accent's already ingrained in you, it's really tough to change. So it becomes a little bit harder. But the language itself, I know Uganda has always been ranked as a top English-speaking country.
yeah.
Now I know it depends on where you're from, too. Like you said, where you're from north, you're from central,
Yeah,
you're
I'm telling
from
you,
west.
me, I'm from the central, and I struggle with R and
R and
L.
L, yes, yeah, and that's it. Depending on where you're from,
Yeah.
you're struggling. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Yeah, I love my kids. I have two kids. My daughter is now 10. My son is 6 years old. And being a parent, it's I'm not gonna lie to you and say, yeah, it's so bad. It's like huge. It's a blessing. Let me put that. But it's a challenge that you have to face, because back home you don't have that issue. My mom never had to worry about who's going to take care of me or my sisters if she had to go to town, right? Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean who's gonna? There's always people. There's always my aunties around. There's all my these random people always at our house.
Mm-hmm.
So that was no problem. Now coming to America, it's different because everything you do depends on you as a parent. Like, okay, if you have to go do something, if you have to work and you have a 6-month-old, I mean, you have to figure out who is going to take care of that. Are you going to take that baby to daycare? Are you going to stay home and take care of that baby? But then you have to decide, if you stay home and take care of the baby, are you making enough money, or will your husband or wife make enough money to cover that? That cost. So it's kind of like you're always choosing between stuff. Like, who's going to, if I go to work, who's going to take care of my kid? If If I stay home, who's going to pay my bills? There's always this choices revolving around what you need and what you're able to do.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the challenges. And then the other challenge of being a parent here is just the way you raise your kids. Just back home, you see people that have moved. I mean, this is all around.
Yeah.
The immigrants, the first generation that moves in this country, is like usually very hardworking, very this and that. And then there's a new generation that comes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. With the mixture of immigrants and
mixture of
yeah.
immigrants.
And
If we
culture.
don't do a good job really
Mm.
passing on some of the things that we learned as kids, that kind of culture, that kind of hard work, we lose it. We lose some, at least we lose some of it, right?
Yeah.
If you're able to pass on most of it to your kids, well, your kids are gonna, your grandkids are gonna lose most of it, and down the road. So, just making sure that you expose the children to yourself and the culture that raised you, right? I really envy people that really involve their kids. Like my cousins in Ohio, very involved in the Ugandan community, and you could see a huge difference. So I think that's important, being able to be involved in the community, being able to take the kids, back home and, they see it, spend a few weeks, a few months, make that happen. That's something I want to start doing with my kids. I think it makes a difference. Oh, so that's a good question. So initially, when we came up with this idea, it was because we just have a young college graduates
Mm-hmm.
that want to change the world, right? They just want to do something. And this is how ideas start. You just know in yourself that you need to do something. And you may not know what it is.
Yeah, true. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times, if you bother that idea inside, like, well, I don't know what it is, I can't, then that idea goes inside and dies, right? If you bring it out in whichever form, you start working on it in some direction, it really, you take, it's like initially you cast this large net, and then slowly, you move from a large net to now you're fishing with a hook, and the specific bait to catch a specific kind of fish, right?
Yeah.
So, the Makassi as the concept came when we cast out the large net, and that was like we wanted to do something. So when we're sitting on the kitchen table talking about this back and forth, we said, you know what? At that time, 6-7 years ago, we felt like was a time when like energy drinks were like hitting the market, and there was lots of money to be made. Everyone was making an energy drink. Like, I think we can make an energy drink. I mean, how hard can it be? Come up with some kind of recipe, and and bring it, sell it. I mean, easy. And so that's exactly what the team that we started with. It was just, again, it was us. It was about 7 or 8 people at that time that we decided to, including Joseph, my partner now. So we decided that this is the direction we wanted to go, right? And we did it. It was just 8 African boys. We wanted to, from different countries,
Mm-hmm.
and we just wanted to do something. So, we put a little money we had together and say, oh, let's do some energy drinks. Seems like a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And we did it. That's how the Makassi brand started. um, so we brought some energy drinks here in the U.S. actually, and we went through the process of selling them.
Mm.
So now that is what changed us and really created the Makassi story. Was the lessons learned from selling
The
energy
energy
drinks, right? So
what was the name of the
it was
energy?
Makassi.
It was also called
It was
Makassi
Makassi.
energy drink.
Makassi energy drink. So from there, through the challenges of selling energy drinks, the number one thing that we learned, number one was that um, the target market that we were working on,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Hey, they didn't quite care about energy drinks,
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't their forte. You still had people that like energy drinks, but you
Mm.
talk to most people and they'll be like, man, I don't drink this energy drink. Every time I drink them, my heart pumps like this, and
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, really? It's like, I mean, like some popular energy drink makers saying,
Mm-hmm.
well, it's just like.
Mm.
Well, it's like drinking coffee, It's 80 milligrams of caffeine. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Like, nah, I just don't like the way it makes me feel. Okay, well, what would you like? So that is where we started our market research. Is
Mm-hmm.
what would you like? Because now
Yeah.
our target market, we knew they love to drink juice. Okay,
Yeah.
that's something they went to the store, never questioned anything. Like whether this juice is like good. Hey, it tastes like a mango. It smells like a mango. I'll drink it, right?
Yeah.
Because
Just get that. Yes.
just get that feeling, that taste that you used to. So we then started really getting understanding this market a little bit better, and we started studying the kind of drinks that were in the market provided specifically to our community, to the diaspora community. We saw like there's the options that we had, different products, some from different countries, Jamaica, Barbados, Thailand, Vietnam, China, whatever. It was like different, mixture of drinks, we have cocktails, we have this, it's 10% juice, 5.2%, whatever. It was just a cocktail of stuff,
Yeah.
But what we failed to find was something that was really, that I would consider, you know, good, healthy, wholesome for people to consume. When you talk to, when we talk to several retailers, distributors, the only thing that they cared about is can it sell, right? And can it sell at a low price,
Mm-hmm.
So the driver for this product was really price. Does it taste anything close to juice? Yes. Can I sell it at a low price? Yes. Can I make a huge margin out of it? Yes. And then does it, you make those check marks, and yeah, you have business. So we wanted to now come in and fill a gap in, because we saw like there's a huge gap. How can we now come in and do that, but do it better? Offer something much better for consumption, healthier for our community, something that's wholesome that can be, someone tastes and really it takes them back to that, that original feeling that, as close to the heartbeat of nature as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what we wanted to bring to the market. Now, when we went out, obviously we had the challenge of now how do you source out? Where do you get these fruits? How do we make this? So it's cost effective, and we're still able to compete in this same market where you have it, several stuff that's dumped from different countries in the same market. So those are some of the things we had to figure out, and we did. And then the other piece of it, how do we now really make sure we're doing this for the community, right? Because that is something. The other thing, that the gap that we had initially, um, from when we made the energy drink, it was just like, well, how can we make money, right? That's the wrong mindset in business, right? Now, when you go in with how can you make an impact, that's a different kind of thinking in business. How can you make an impact in the community? Rather than how can you, when you make an impact, the money will come, right? So that's the mindset we have right now, is how can we make an impact in our community, and we've gone to a lot of lengths to make that possible. From that, we came up with how do we.
Yeah. Let's pause, because that's really important information. What you want to mess around with. Uh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna disturb you a little bit. Sorry. We are almost done though. Uh,
So, so like,
no, it's the community, not profits.
yeah, not the profit. The money will come, but how do you impact your community? And that's how we've come up with different ways. That's how we've really been able to partner with companies or organizations like Aspire to Be More. That's how we've been able to create, a program that would help women in Africa, make a living. And right now in the DRC we have women, like 500 women that have signed up to help distribute the product. Because if you think about it, if you want to fight poverty in Africa, you have to help the women, right?
True.
Because most families are supported by women in Africa. They're supported by women. How do we create an impact in helping fight poverty in Uganda? We have to help the women, right? I mean, in Africa in general, we have to help the women. So that's something that we're doing. We have product that is DRC that will go directly to these. We essentially give them product with $0 down.
Oh.
So they come in, we train them, because most of these women come in, they've been doing this for a while. They know the hustle. They're trying to, make ends meet. They sell vegetables. They sell, different things to just put something on the table for their families. If you could then give that woman a pack of Makassi, that's probably an opportunity for them to make maybe a little bit of margin, higher margin. So our goal is, how do we help them increase their daily income?
Okay, so you just give them, or they have to pay something after selling?
Oh,
How does that work?
So we provide the product to them with $0 down. They sell, now they start building a business for me, right? It's like if I said, hey, I'm giving you product for, it's not free, right?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
But essentially, it's like a credit system, right?
Okay.
I give you product on credit. You have your own shop. We come, we brand it for you. We do the marketing for you. Make sure that you're successful. We have people checking up on you. We give you training on how to sell this product. Now you slowly start building a business. That could be retail, could be wholesale, right?
Yes.
Now you start growing a business, right? And then once you start growing a business, you're really now growing your income.
Yes.
So our end goal is really, how do we help these women grow an income from maybe a subsistence type income, like it's just hand to mouth, to now growing something that is, you know, a little bit more than some sisters. Maybe they can now afford to put their kids to school and, afford maybe to hopefully build a house or, stuff like that. That is how I think we can help fight poverty in Africa. So went home for a few weeks and then you came back and tell you what, the parents always found a way of paying off that school fees, right? And then you went through that semester and then you look forward to the next semester. So the money issue is there's always a way, you just always have to find it. And I can tell you for a starting business, you could try so many different ways. We've tried banks, we've tried anything you can think of, applying to NGOs, whatever. You can SBA. It's really tough to get a loan, a business loan from these organizations as a startup. So I mean, for us personally, me and Joseph, my partner, we had to look into our savings and see how much money we can raise from that. We had to look into if we had some small investments, how much money can we pull from. We had to look into our immediate family members, families and friends, how much money can we pull from that, just different things we had. I was a member of, or I'm a member of a SACCO in Uganda. I had to find a way of utilizing that opportunity to get some money from that. So, I mean, my point is there's always ways to raise funds. Now I think we're at a point where we're getting a little bit more creative in that we're giving people, within our communities, an opportunity to be part of this journey, right? So because there are people out there that, we're realizing there are people out there that work hard. I mean, generally diaspora, they're really hardworking people, right? That's their community, we belong to. But a lot of times you work hard to make this money, but you don't know how to use it or invest it, right? So we provide that avenue for people to invest their money, and that's just something that we're trying out right now. We have several people that are interested in becoming part of it, just funding different projects. It's like project by project. So we've found that there are people interested. So that is one avenue. But just starting the business, it's really, if you can picture that parent in Uganda trying to find school fees for their kid in 5 days so they can go back to school. That's how it feels. Like you feel like you have this dream, you have to make it happen. If you really believe in it that much, and you really believe like this is you have to make it, you will find a way. So that's essentially what it is. And, over the years we found ways of making this happen, and we're still pushing. It might not be as fast as we want, but every day if you make one baby step in the right direction, it's definitely progress, right? Where we have a global reach, meaning that we are operating in several countries, U.S., Uganda, DRC, Botswana, and more and more countries we're adding on. But one of the challenges is understanding, how to work or operate in those different countries. There's always barriers to entry, just not in the industry, but it could be in those different countries, So knowing how to do business in those different countries, that's always an interesting challenge. How do you do business in Uganda? It's a tough environment, right? Especially with our industry, it's tough. And then you have to think about your importing product. You have to understand that, what the government, what's the government trying to do, what's their fiscal policies, right? Well, here, I'm just giving you an example. In Uganda, barriers of entry are, well, the government is trying to protect the local manufacturer, right?
If you're local, you.
Yeah, so the local manufacturer is essentially, they're trying to promote Boo Boo, buy Uganda, build Uganda.
Yeah. Boo Boo is what?
Buy Uganda, build Uganda. Type environment. So the taxes on imports are going to go. Yeah, it's going to go high for imports, right? And then they're going to try to find tax incentives for local manufacturers. So you have now to compete in that same environment where your cost of doing business has gone up. So that means the cost of the pricing point for your product is going to go up. So that means your target market is now going to change to people that can afford your product, just because it's a little bit more expensive, which means that maybe you may not be moving the volumes that you want to move. Then you have to be thinking, is it in your best interest to invest locally, and what does that look like if you invest locally into like a manufacturing process? Is it viable business? Does it make sense, to do that? So such things, there's different challenges like that you have to deal with on a daily basis. Where you have the U.S. market. U.S. market, easy to do business, easy entry, but high intense competition, right? There's capitalism. So when you bring your product in here, everybody welcomes you. Thank you. Welcome to the family. But you have to compete with Coca-Cola. You have to compete with Pepsi. You have to compete with all these other brands that are trying to compete with the same industry. How do you do that and be successful? So you have to bring answers to the table. How do we penetrate our target market, even in that environment? So there's always challenges. Starting up is you cannot build a company by yourself, right? There's no way you can do that. You cannot say, I'm going to build this by myself. You need people, right? You need to multiply yourself, right? So how do you do that when you don't have sales coming in, you don't have money, you're just trying to build the starting phase, Well, somehow we managed to do that, and we built a team, and that team is being built in a way that we have really good people. We managed to get really good people on our team. They came to us because they believe in the dream. So there's two kinds of people. You can get yourself someone that just there. They just want to get paid, but if you find someone that really believes in what you're doing, they're there for more than the money experience. They're there to really work hard and make this dream come alive. And when you find people like that, they're willing to put in their all to make sure that we together realize this dream. So that is another challenge. How do you multiply yourself and do work at a high level, with several people, you can go to our website, you see like we have built a team, but you can see that team is not, every single person you say, okay, talk about Mina right there, or anybody else, they'll tell you,
Yeah, how much are you getting paid? You know? Hey, proud. Nothing. You know. But yes, she's here, right?
Yeah.
And she's here and she's working hard like she's, paying her thousands of dollars. It's people that believe in the dream. And you have to find those people. If obviously as you grow, you start making sales, that all that changes. Now you start making money, you start rewarding those people that, like your core team that really, like think of like Facebook, those people that flew out, I don't know, California and just locked themselves in the house and just started typing code for the whole summer. They're probably not, we're not earning anything, and maybe some pizzas for lunch, but they're really trying to create something. And that's what we're trying to do is trying to build that. Okay, so number one, there's no shame in being employed. You know, it takes someone who's willing to get on a narrow path. To be an entrepreneur. It's not. It's not a journey for everybody. I think most people just are happy being employed, making doing their 9 to 5, getting that stable income and check, and then putting away some money in retirement or investing it in different things, like the stock market and growing it that way, maybe investing in some real estate. There are different things that you can make money on. But the path of an entrepreneur, takes someone that really, has found that thing that they just think about every day. It's always on their mind. It's, they keep thinking about it. They just feel like inside burning up if they don't make it happen. So to those people that are in that place where, man, I just feel like I need to do this.
Yeah.
Number one, not many people will understand you. That includes your family, your friends, your, whoever is associated with you. For instance, you'd be making crazy decisions like, well, you know what, I'm just going to quit my job and I follow this dream. Crazy thing. Like, you could be having a really good job and say, I just want to do this thing. So it takes being bold at doing that. And then it takes understanding that you're going to fail at some point. And when you fail, you're going to get up and keep grinding, keep pushing. You just keep pushing it. I mean, you hear so many stories of people that have been successful, whether they're actors, athletes, whoever, business owners, entrepreneurs, they had to pay the price to do this. Paying the price is not really a bad thing. It's just a place where you grow, right? It's just a growth spot. Because you don't, as you start that journey, you're not going to know everything, right? But then you want to find out what you need to know if you don't start. And you won't know that, but you need to know if you don't you allow yourself to make the mistakes, come back, regroup, do it again, and just know, you might get beyond the other point where you ended last time, and you're going to go on and make another mistake, regroup, and then keep moving. That's how you grow. And if you don't start,
You'll never know.
you'll never know what's on the outside. But it's, that's why I always say the journey of an entrepreneur is not for everybody. It's a journey, it's an narrow path, right? I don't know if it's even a path because a lot of times you're really creating your own path, right? So when you create that path, it comes with a lot of work, lots of headache,
misunderstood so many different levels. But if you keep going and you don't give up on your dream, you finally, eventually, you know, eventually you will make it, and it'll be worth every hour you spent working. It'll be worth every, sleepless nights you had. It'll be worth all the sweat, the tears, blood, sweat, and tears you put in. It'll be worth it. But if you don't start, you'll never get there.
All right, that's so interesting. But I'll keep the narrow path because they say that if you take the narrow path, then you go to heaven. Then you will not. But narrow path is really hard to go through that.
Yeah,
But
I'll tell you one of my favorite verses. I'm going to share with you. I don't know if you heard about but I'm going to share with you a few of my verses, my favorite verses in the Bible. I love sharing these because they really keep me grounded in what I'm doing. So, one is Matthew 7:13. The one that it said, "Enter by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go into it, because narrow is the gate, and difficult is the way that leads to life, and there are few that find it." Right? So to me, yes, my pastor may stand here and say, "Yeah, I'm talking about heaven." To me, we're talking about business, okay? We're talking about business. But narrow is that gate, and difficult is the way that leads to life. It's not a journey for everybody, but it's something that. Okay, I'll tell you another one. Matthew 13:44. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in the field. When the man found it, he hid it again, and then in the joy he went and sold all he had and bought that field. So when you just find that dream, out of excitement, you will do whatever you need to do to make that dream come true. And that is really, to me, again, this is talking about business. When someone finds that thing that they really treasure, that thing in their heart that they really want to do, they leave everything and really pursue that dream. I'm going to share to you another person.
Yeah, and then one and then
one. Okay, if I just have one, I'm going to do Zechariah 4:10. Okay, Zechariah 4:10 says, "Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin." Right? So the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. So do not despise the small beginnings. Start small, and then you will grow, because God is happy when you start that work, not when you sit down on it, but you start.
You can go. You will deny all you want. You will prosper. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Victor. This was really nice. I appreciate. Okay.
And success in business is based on productivity. From the story that I told you about my mom supporting 7 children through a small business that she started, homemade juices.